Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Breaking 90 podcast. I am your host, Alex Harriman. This is my co-host, Jerrika and we are the coaches of Breaking 90 Fitness. Thanks for listening. Jerrika, how's it going?
Great. How are you? What's new?
Not too much. It's been pretty nice weather the last couple of days. Emerson and I went out for a hike today, so that's something that we try to do. Any days that he's like not at daycare, I'll try to take him out just for a hike in the bush, explore a new trail, explore some new things. So we did a new trail today and saw some pretty cool things. But one thing I saw was one of the local CrossFit gyms. They were putting up signs in the bush for like, it was like a scavenger hunt, and they laminated them and hung them to trees. And it was like, you just found like obstacle 18 out of 20. Do 10 squats, take a picture, submit it, and go find the others. Like I was like,
that's fun.
cool. Yeah.
I might take that.
Yeah. So this trail was just full of like 20 different obstacles. So we didn't find them all, but we found some. And he's 3, right? So he'd be like, there's another sign. And he'd be like,
it's more about the signs than it is about the squats.
Yeah, for sure. But a pretty cool thing to get the community involved,
really
especially right now while gyms are closed and everything.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, cool. So today my topic, and I might change the title of it before we actually publish it, but basically what I want to talk about is tips and hacks to make weight loss not suck. Okay. So I have a whole list of them. So I'm going to go through my list, and you can chime in where you want, and you can contribute to the list. But I wrote out a list of things that I like to do to make weight loss or fat loss not suck. So
not suck as in like make it like an enjoyable process.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just little tricks that make it easier and more enjoyable.
I like it.
So I think before we start, it's important, just because I think a lot of times I assume that people have listened to the previous episodes, but that's not always the case.
Right.
So quickly, just want to talk about what it requires to lose weight, which is a caloric deficit. Do you want to explain just quickly what a caloric deficit is?
Yep. So a caloric deficit would mean you'd have to burn more calories than you consume. For example, if I'm eating 2,000 calories every day, if I want to lose weight, I'd have to burn more calories. I would have to eat less than 2,000 calories, which is my maintenance.
Yep, perfect. So that's really important if you're listening to this and you're trying to figure out how to lose weight. That's what you need to lose weight. You have to, Jerrika's exactly right. We have to burn more than we're consuming. So goal number 1, create a caloric deficit. And when we do create a caloric deficit, it often sucks because we're hungry, right? Like it's anytime that we have to gain weight or lose weight, we're essentially pushing our bodies outside of our comfort zone to do that. So you have to get uncomfortable. But there's definitely some tips and tricks and hacks that you can put into place that make it easier, make it more enjoyable. So I've got 9 things written down that I find really beneficial. I'm curious though, is there anything that instantly comes to mind when I bring this topic up to you?
For me, it's movement and finding movement that you love. We're big proponents on 20 minutes of purposeful movement every day. And it's important that it's something you thoroughly enjoy doing. Like for me, it's hiking. So I devote my time to going out in the bush, finding a trail, and getting my movement in, because if we're moving more, right, we're burning more calories at the end of the day, which would equate to weight loss.
Yeah.
So I would say movement.
It's funny because I wrote down my 9 points, and I just wrote pointers for myself to elaborate on, and it was like moving more, which is like exactly what you just said. For sure. I mean, I don't like to give people the idea that they should try to out-train their shitty diet, right? And we talk about that a lot, but moving more will aid you in your loss, because when we talk about that caloric deficit, say you're burning 2,000 calories a day and you're eating under that to lose weight. Well, if you can exercise or just move more in general, and you can bring that up to 2,200 calories a day, that's an extra 200 calorie deficit, as long as you don't eat to fill that gap. So moving more definitely makes weight loss suck less.
And I think it's important to note, we don't need, like you said, you don't have to move more, but it helps, but it's moving more and finding that enjoyment through it. Because if I wake up in the morning, it's like, oh, I have to go and do this and I'm dreading it, then that's not really making weight loss suck. It's actually making it suck more because I don't want to move. So
True.
it's finding something that you really are excited to get up and do, right? I think that would make it suck less.
That's a really good point. We say that to people often, is find something you love, because people will ask us, what's the best plan? What's the best plan? Well, it's the
Yes.
plan that you're going to do
Stick to.
consistently, that motivates you, that you're excited about. So that's true. I'm glad you added that. I didn't have that written down to touch on. So that's huge.
Perfect.
Cool. All right. Do you want me just to start tearing into my list, or do you want to see
Sure.
if you can pin off any of the other ones?
I think the next one for me would be finding something that nutrition wise that I can stick to. Um, right. It's not always about finding, like we just talked about, the training program, but what's the best nutrition program, or what's in right now? What should I be following? It's finding something that you can enjoy and stick to. For some people, that might be they're nighttime snackers, and that's okay, right? We're okay with that as long as it fits within your whatever your goals are. So for that person, they might want to do intermittent fasting, because they enjoy the nighttime snacking, so they'll start eating later in the day, and they're still seeing weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's eating everything in moderation. Everyone knows I love my chocolate. I talk about that often. So making sure that I can incorporate that into my daily routine is definitely key.
Yeah. I had to turn the light on. It's getting way too dark. I'll start sweating soon because this light's so hot. For everybody who's listening to this podcast and can't see it. So you touched on two different points that I wanted to break apart. So I'm going to do that now. So the first one is great. You mentioned finding nutrition that you enjoy doing and that you can stick to. So the only thing I'd add to that is actually make your caloric deficit smaller.
Yeah, I like that.
A lot of people want to eat as little as possible to make weight loss as quick as possible. I would actually encourage you to do the opposite. Eat as much food as possible while still making progress.
Slower progress.
Absolutely.
It's still progress, and then you're more likely to continue that progress.
Yeah, because you're going to be frustrated doing it this way, but this is the way that we do it with our coaching clients. If anybody's listening to this and thinking about working with us, like, we always shoot for the more sustainable route, and it's often slower and it's often discouraging because you're like, oh man, I'm not making any progress. But the difference is you're not starving. You're not feeling like you're deprived of food. And while it doesn't feel like you're making progress, some days, maybe even some weeks, when you start looking at the big picture, you're like, wow, I have made a ton of progress over a longer period of time. You just don't notice it as much day to day as you would with an extreme caloric deficit, which is going to make you hate your life.
Yep, definitely.
The second one you touched on, which I also wanted to touch on, was fasting, or intermittent fasting. I know it's a hot topic. I actually thought about doing a whole episode on it, but I really don't feel like I'm the authority on fasting. So I'm going to leave that for people who definitely have more knowledge on fasting in general. But I think it can be a useful tool if you're ready, willing, and able to do it. People often ask me, should I try this? What do you think of this? And I say, yeah, go ahead and try it and see how it feels for you. I don't think it's the end all and be all, but I personally use it when I'm staying in a caloric deficit. Like currently, I'm doing my 15-pound weight loss right now. So I'm using fasting. I don't have specific eating timelines, but I just push my first meal as late as possible.
Right.
I really like a lot of food, and that allows me to eat a lot of bigger meals in a smaller period of time. So I'm eating like decent sized meals every 2 hours in the afternoon rather than smaller meals all day long. That's the only reason I do fasting. It makes it suck less for me, and that's a personal preference.
Perfect.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to add to either of those?
No, not necessarily. I definitely seen a lot of people succeed with the intermittent fasting as well. Like I noted before, same with you, bigger meals, evening snackers per se. But and personally for me, I'm starving at 7 a.m. So
Mm.
it's again finding what works for you.
I agree. And
Yeah.
I mean, I know people are going to be like, well, there's so many health benefits and everything. That's for somebody else in a different episode. I'm
Yeah,
just talking from a
definitely.
caloric deficit standpoint. That's the reason I do it, and I enjoy it. I also struggled with it at first, but I think if anything, we can teach ourselves to adapt to something better. Like
Yeah,
just like you and I waking up early in the morning, like that's something that you've gotten used to and you've adapted to. I think at first with fasting, it was like a mind over matter thing. I was like, holy crap, I'm hungry. But now that I'm used to it, it's kind of freeing not having to worry about food for like the first half of my day.
that's true. That's true.
Um, but yeah,
Side note question: did you ever find it affected your energy with your training?
yeah, for sure. If I'm exercising early in the morning, I usually will break the fast earlier.
That was my big issue is because I train every morning at six
Yeah.
ish. So
Yeah.
that was one of the reasons why I always eat a banana before I train. So I don't eat much in the morning, but just I grab a banana before I lift, and that
That
helps.
being said, just as I said, like I've gotten used to the fasting and it doesn't hurt me as
Yeah,
much in the morning anymore. I've talked to a lot of people who have done it with their training also, and like the training at first sucked, but
and
then
then
they've
I've
started to
heard that
get
as
better at
well.
that. So I may just not have allowed myself to break
Enough
through
time.
that barrier. But I feel better if I have like a banana and a protein shake before
Hmm.
exercising.
Yep, and that's what
So
works for us. So
I guess the big note, if you're listening to this, is if you want to try it, but document everything and make sure that you're not assuming certain pros or cons are coming from something else. Like I think you need to actually be really real with yourself and document your results and be like, yeah, this is good because of the
these
fasting,
reasons,
or
yeah,
because is it because of something else, like maybe your sleep changed or
right.
your exercise changed. Like it's important to look at everything because a lot of times we paint too wide of a picture with one brush, right?
Exactly. Yeah, document journaling all that down is huge.
Okay, so the next one I have is adding, it doesn't have to be either, but I'm going to say adding a salad to your day. Um, it doesn't have to be a salad. Basically, what I'm getting at is adding more fruits and
Perfect.
vegetables to your day.
Right.
But I think a salad is like so underrated if you're in a caloric deficit. Like, um, we've been we've been doing this weight loss thing for a little while now, and like I can fill myself up so much with a salad for so few calories.
It's insane. Every morning or every day, I take what I call my big ass salad. We've talked about this to work, and I get so many comments while I'm at work with my big
Yeah,
ass salad. It's
yeah,
literally like the size of my shoulders, and it's volume eating, right? You're
yeah,
getting in, you feel very full. You're getting in a ton of food. If I want to eat half of it and then come back to 2 hours later and eat half more, it's still, at the end of the day, you're still eating few calories, but you feel full.
totally. And I think it's important with all of your food choices when you're in a caloric deficit and you're on a budgeted amount of calories, looking for those foods that give you a lot of bang for your buck. Like fruits and vegetables are super low calorie, very filling in comparison. I know everybody's seen the graphs of like 100 calories of vegetables versus 100 calories of chocolate. Well, the 100 calories of vegetables is going to be much, much more filling. It's
Yeah.
not to say don't eat the chocolate like we've talked about, but like make the main portion of your food that filling stuff to make weight loss suck less.
Right.
Um, we like even tonight we had tacos for dinner. So rather than having a shell, I just turned it into a massive salad.
Exactly.
And it's like you can eat until you're stuffed for like half the amount of calories as you would
Hmm.
if you ate the shells and the cheese. Um, yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah. That's what I wanted to cover with that one. All right, we touched on fasting, so I have eating more protein. It keeps you full for longer. Um, Other
Yeah.
benefits, I mean, it's going to aid in your muscle recovery and repair. We gain muscle, we burn more calories every single day.
Absolutely. And whether it's protein shake or just any source of protein, you do feel more full,
Mhm.
bottom line. So you can go longer periods without eating as well.
Yep. Yep. So that's a big one. And I think a lot of people, especially people who are exercising frequently, aren't eating enough protein to
Right. And side note, my protein tastes delicious. It is like my dessert, my treat, my the thing I look forward to the most because it's chocolate flavored, and yeah, it's satisfying during those times where you're craving maybe the sweeter foods.
yeah, protein powder. Yeah, for sure. And
Yes,
especially
sorry,
mixing it
protein
with
powder.
things like yogurt and protein powder
Yeah,
is so good. But even just adding to your meal slightly bigger serving of, say, the chicken. Like,
yep,
I'm not talking about going 2 chicken breasts, but like have a little bit more chicken. Like that's going to fill you up more. Same thing as we talked about with the fruits and vegetables. It's going to be more bang for your buck, going to keep you full for longer, less calories overall.
perfect.
I think that's good for that one.
Hmm.
All right, point number 4, which isn't 4 on the list we've been talking about, so we're all over the place. So point number
Yeah,
4 on my list is sleeping more, for a couple of reasons. When we sleep more, it lets us regulate our hormones a little bit better, so we don't get as vicious of cravings. Um, we don't have to get too deep into that. If
it's oh no, about the hormones?
Yeah.
No, yeah,
Um,
keep it basic for
yes,
sure.
it basically, when we sleep better and recover better, our hormones are more regulated and we don't get as hungry. We don't get as many cravings. Our hunger is more regulated throughout the day. But the other side benefit is when you're sleeping, you're not eating.
That's a big one. And you're repairing your muscles, right? That's when most of our repair happens during the night. So if we're repairing our muscles, we're technically growing muscles. And if we're getting more muscle mass, then we're burning more calories at the end of the day. It's a win-win.
Yeah, yeah. I do a lot of one-on-one calls with our clients and potential clients, and one of the biggest obstacles for almost every person I speak to is nighttime snacking. And I mean, like, if you know that's something you're falling into, is that like last hour you start making bad choices before bed, you probably could benefit from an extra hour of sleep.
But yeah, that could really help.
um, all
Anything
right.
about water?
Yeah, you just nailed it. That was the next one on the list.
Perfect.
Drinking more water. I've got a couple side notes on that one, but let's hear what you have to contribute to that one.
Oh geez, drinking more water, it fills you up. That's like the first thing that comes to my mind. Like
Yeah,
if I'm feeling like I want a snack or I'm feeling bored or looking into the kitchen, it's like, no, stop, drink water first, then reevaluate.
totally. Even if I have a meal, so when I'm trying to lose weight, I won't eat to the point that I'm stuffed. That's a big
That's
point. Is just don't eat to the point you're stuffed. We talked about
mhm,
that on the episode of intuitive eating. If you're interested, go check that episode out. But eat until you're like 70% full instead of 80
yeah,
or 90, and then drink a ton of water, and it will feel like you ate as much food.
it feels very full. Yes.
So the side note I wanted to add to that is carbonated water. I don't know if there's science to back it up, but carbonated water makes me feel full.
Yep.
So
I can
I
relate to
drink
that.
a lot of carbonated water with my meals.
I
I'll
flavor my water with like strawberry, like frozen whatever, limes, lemons, anything, just throw it in. Sometimes it makes it suck less some days when you're
Yeah,
not in the mood for water.
totally.
So it's just to make it more enjoyable.
Yeah, it's almost like you're not going to trick yourself into thinking it's a beer or something like that, but it's like, okay, this is like my treat. I get this like fancy water with
Yeah.
dinner, and it's
Yeah.
like, instead of a beer, that's what you're allowing yourself to
It's
have.
like, yeah, a little
It,
peach bubbly with some
yeah,
frozen fruit in there. It's
it's
fancy.
still a treat. It's not a beer. I'm not trying to tell you it's a beer. I know I'm gonna catch some grief for that one.
Yeah. Don't even
I,
try.
I had somebody listen to one of our episodes and they were like, "Don't ever tell me to cut my wine with sparkling water."
It's not that bad. I get used to it.
um, all right. What do we got? I got 2 more on the list. This one kind of goes hand in hand with drinking water, but it's not drinking your calories. If you're on
That's
budgeted calories, you're in a caloric deficit, and you're wasting a good chunk of those calories on your morning coffee or your beers or drinks,
Mhm.
whatever it is in the afternoon, it's not going to be as filling. So that's hands down. If you're spending, like, I know some coffees are like 400
Yeah.
calories.
That's like a full big ass salad easily.
Yeah, yeah.
Easy.
And
A whole
you're
meal.
just 400 calories of coffee is not going to leave you feeling full.
No. No,
So
and likely has lots of sugar in there, so then you'll likely want more sugar
yeah,
typically once
yep.
you're on that train. Yeah.
That's one of the first places I would look to start cutting out calories is like your pops, juices, coffees,
Oh,
and alcoholic
definitely.
beverages. Right. The last one I have, and you can, if there's any that I've missed that you want to add, go ahead. But the last one I have is really prepping your own food, because we have control over what's put into it. You can certainly go out to restaurants or order takeout or whatever it might be and make good, decent choices, but
Yep.
you don't have control over what they're putting into it and how much they're putting
What
into
they're
it.
cooking with. Yeah.
The
Yeah,
oils they use, the
definitely.
sauces they use, and even when the menu tells you, say, 1,000 calories, like, depending on who's cooking that night, what, like, it might be 1,200 calories.
Yeah.
It's not like they're taking pre-portioned things. Like, a
Just
lot of times at a restaurant, it's just a cook throwing it together
throwing it
that he's
in.
done
Yeah.
over and over and over again. So, I mean, those any nutrition label isn't 100% accurate, first of all, but I mean, at home we have control over it. So that's my big one, is pack your own meals, pack your own snacks as much as possible.
And
um
it'll suck less because you have control over what you're choosing. You're going to choose foods and vegetables and fruit that you typically like,
mhm,
right? So I
mhm.
think prepping is the way to go for sure.
Even like you said there, your salad every day is probably like 400 calories or less.
Yeah.
If
With
you
protein.
Yeah, with protein. And like, if you go get a restaurant salad, like, sometimes they're pushing 1,000 calories.
Yeah. 700, 800 to 1,000. Yeah.
Like, what kind of
It's
wizardry
like
happened to this
the
salad?
chicken burger that at that restaurant's less calories than that salad. So
I
most of
know,
the time.
I know. Sometimes you go to a restaurant, you're like, okay, I'm gonna make the best choice possible. Look at the salads, and you see that it's like 100 calories less than something that you would want way more. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not
No.
eating the salad
Can't
for that.
justify it because at that point they're putting in like these goat cheeses and thick creamy dressings and
Yeah,
it's not even.
yeah.
Yep.
Cool. That's there's our tips and tricks and hacks for making weight loss suck
That
less.
was fun. I like
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, it was good. Um, do you have a kitchen tip for
Oh
people?
yes. I have a kitchen tip. This is kind of like a backup plan. Um, I always try to have all times protein cooked and prepped and in the fridge, ready to go, so I could throw those big ass salads or little meals together. But when I happen to not, I always make sure in my cupboard I have canned tuna or
Mm,
something canned of the sort. Usually I go with a canned tuna in typically water. And that's like my backup plan. Then I'll just take that out, throw it in a bowl, put some avocado, mashed avocado, and make up a quick lunch. There's no reason why I should have to go to the store and try to order, like we just talked about, ordering chicken from who knows how they're cooking it. So
yeah.
my tip would be to always store some type of canned tuna or something that you like. There's canned chicken and
Oh
turkey.
yeah. And
Um,
salmon, and like, what,
salmon,
you'll find
yeah.
something you enjoy.
It's just
Or
high protein. Like the whole can today, I think was like 25 grams of protein. Super simple, and at least that way, there's always a backup plan.
yeah, that's actually great advice. That's
Hmm.
awesome. Cool.
Cool.
Thanks guys for listening. If there's anything we missed that you would have added to this list, I'd be curious to hear what you guys would add to that list to make weight loss suck less. So let us know, leave it in the comments. But we appreciate you listening. Make sure to rate and comment this on whatever platform you're listening on, and share it with your friends. Thanks guys.